Hello, my name is Daniel, and today I want to talk about why bad things happen. This is a big question for a lot of people, and it was something I had trouble too when I was growing up. I had a little sister die, and just random different things. Everyone goes through a lot of trauma through their life, and we wonder why bad things happen. And I have to say that I think God gets a bad rap. It's kind of crazy that we think that the God who created heaven and the earth, who made absolutely everything, owes us something. And we think we have the right to be mad at him when the truth is we're wicked. We break his laws on a daily basis. It's kind of crazy to think that we blame him for everything. And a lot of Christians don't know the truth. They claim that God is sovereign and he knows best. And that's not exactly how it works. If they would read the Bible, they would know. So I'm going to talk about that today. All right, and the reason is threefold. And I'm going to start with the least and go to the greatest reason. And the first will be, of course, God. Yes, God is a factor of this. And the best way to describe that is read some scripture first. Now, I'm only going to quote a couple of verses for each fact, but there's hundreds of verses throughout the Bible for each of these. All right, the best way to go at this, for the one about God, is to ask yourself, if you're the ruler of all the earth and you're looking for a wife, or you're the queen of all the earth instead of the king, both ways, and you're looking for a husband, or you're king looking for a wife, how would you go about doing that? I mean, because no matter who you choose to help you rule, because they're going to have power, they're going to have position the instant you marry them. How would you go about doing that? Would you just want anyone old harlot off or crazy dude off the street? No, you could really mess up the world. You could doom the world to destruction by getting a power-hungry person in there, or getting someone in there was loose tongue, or all they cared about was their own flesh and their own desires. So I'm going to read the scriptures. The Spirit itself breathes witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waileth in manifestation of the sons of God. Alright? And then, behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it does not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for when we see him as he is. So we see here that we are heirs and joint heirs with Christ, and that when we see God, we will be like him. What that means, to what extent, I don't know. None of us know. But it is obvious in the scriptures that when we die, or when the resurrection happens, or some people like to call the rapture, when Jesus appears in the sky and we get caught up with him, meeting him in the air. When we get our new glorified bodies, to some capacity, we will be ruling and reigning with Christ. And we will be like God. It's a lot to take in. I don't know exactly what it means. But it's just like that example I gave. We're going to be supernatural spiritual beings with who knows how much infinite power. And we're going to be ruling and reigning with him throughout all eternity. Do you want someone who only fulfills the lust of their flesh to rule with you? What type of damage would they do throughout all eternity if all they've ever thought about was themselves and didn't know how to deny themselves what they wanted, or know how to do what's right and wrong? So that's one big factor. And see, why did God create man? Throughout the Bible, if you look, the only reason it comes out is because he wanted fellowship throughout all eternity. He wanted someone to love and to be loved by. Now, in all honesty, that seems like a massive selfish action, because he created man knowing that all this pain and suffering would happen. But then he turns around and does the most absolutely unselfish thing that ever happened. Could ever be imagined. God, a multi-dimensional being. We don't even know how many dimensions there is right now. But he's multi-dimensions. And that means he can probably be everywhere at the same time. He can know the future, the past, and the present. He has unlimited power. But he gave that all up, became a man, knowing that if he failed, if he ever once gave into the lust of his flesh, he ever once sinned, all would be lost. That everyone would be doomed. But he gave that all up, became flesh. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. That's just amazing. And then he goes throughout his whole life, and we know that his father Joseph, it wasn't actually his father, but his I guess earthly father, died when he was younger, and he had to take care of his family. And everyone in Nazareth knew that he was also illegitimate, which meant that during that culture, it would have been really, really hard on him. The Bible says that he was a man acquainted with griefs in Isaiah, that he knew sorrows. So he didn't have this happy-go-lucky childhood that a lot of people want to imagine. People didn't think he was the Messiah as he's growing up, as some books would like you to think. They thought he was a bastard child. And if you know anything about Hebrew culture, how they treated bastards. And they even call him a Samaritan later on in his life. So that if they're saying that out loud right there, that means they probably thought that about him as a kid. So he goes through this horrible life. Comes down, goes through this horrible life. Then when time finally comes for him to begin his ministry, he only is on earth and he pours his heart out for 3 years. And then they murder him in the most unimaginable way. Everyone knows the story of Jesus, and it's a heartbreaking tale of complete amazing love. So that is the first part. God. He doesn't just want anybody to rule and reign with him. And for some reason we think that he should. We think that he should let every single one of us, even the ones who just kind of, oh, well, I know about God, I'm a good person. We think that we should be allowed in heaven, and we think that he should bend over backwards for us. But that's not the truth. He's looking for a chosen few. And that's why in the Old Testament, when he disciplined the children of Israel, it's because those people would destroy his chosen few. When all those people died, because God doesn't see life we do. He sees life as valuable, but only to a certain extent. And you ask me, well, doesn't God want all to come to repentance? Yes, he does. And he also says that one soul is worth all the wealth in the world. But let me ask you, what is the worth of a soul who's in hell right now? The answer is absolute nothing. They're worth nothing. They're not even worth one grain of sand or a speck of dust in any shape, way, or form. They have made their choice and they have destroyed their own value, where they could have been worth more than all those in all the wealth in the world. All right. The second is God's enemy, the devil. And many people seem to forget completely about the devil. The devil hates God with a passion. He wants to destroy everything God created. And that includes and mainly focuses on mankind. Because we were made in God's image. We were made to rule and reign with God, to love God and be loved by Him. And the devil cannot stand that. Here's some scriptures. This is Job. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Does Job fear God for naught? Has not thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he has on every side? Thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his substance and is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now and touch all that he has, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he has is now in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Now, if we read that, it says, And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is that in thy power. It's not, I said now, but it's actually in thy power. So it's already was in his power. See, the devil talked about, made a hedge about him. And that's the crazy thing. Even though most of us live in sin, God reigns upon the just and unjust. And He puts a hedge of protection around us. And we find out later that Job's hedge of protection was down because he was in fear. If you research it, you'll see that he sacrificed daily for his children in case they did something wrong. And then he says, all that I feared has come upon me. He had a deep root of fear that something would come, and he opened the door for the devil. And there's many things that open for the door to the devil. And the devil doesn't know when that hedge is down. And there's certain hedges. Sometimes we go outside of the will of God, and the devil knows that's a sin, and he will jump in, but he doesn't know to what extent he can go. Because God protects us with different levels. See, right here he says, do not touch his flesh. And the devil is the accuser of the brethren. And anytime we sin, or a sinner sins, or anyone sins, you sin, I sin, the hedge that God protects us with comes down. The devil is allowed to strike us and attack. And he will devour you. He is like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I cometh that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. That was Jesus in John 10:10. As again, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants you dead. He wants to destroy your life. He wants to have other people destroy your life. And that's the thing there. The Bible also says that he takes them captive at his will because they are so full of sin and wickedness. He can rouse their physical and fleshly desires to the point where he can take them captive and use people to destroy other people's lives. And that is why there's rape. That's why there's murder. That's why horrible, wicked things. Is why drunken people kill other people in car accidents, because the devil, his desire is to destroy. That's It's why there's cancer. There's why there's sickness. All these things are not God. They're from the devil. He's perverted and messed up the entire creation because Adam let him have dominion. And the devil will destroy you if he can. Not God, the devil. And a lot of times, God gets the bum rap because of what the devil does. So if you want to be so angry at somebody, you need to be angry at the one who caused the problem. And that's the devil. He's the one who brought the earth into the state it is now. And that's why Jesus had to come to take back dominion. And if you look throughout history, after Jesus, history has gotten better, steadily better. The more Christianity, real true Christianity. Now, of course, the devil's going to get in there, like he did during the Dark Ages, and twist man. If you look, that wasn't real Christianity. If you look, they took away the Bible. They made it all men's have desire. And that's the third one I'm going to talk about. Is the third reason why there's death, suffering, and bad things happen is because of man. We are a wicked creation. We want to fulfill the lust of our own flesh. And while man is influenced by the devil, we have a choice. And one of those main choices is whether or not to serve God. And that, it's like a third and a half reason. A lot of the troubles happen is because those who love and serve God, we don't obey Him like we should. Here's an example. Let's say I'm coming out of the market, supermarket, Kenny's around here, or Walmart for a lot of people. Let's say I'm coming out, and then God says, look over there. Well, I look over there, and I see here's this man getting ready to cross the street. And God goes, go talk to that man now. And I go, that's not God. And then He goes, go talk to that man. But I ignore Him. And I go ahead and I go walk to my car with my groceries. And that guy, he's pushing that button. Well, no car seems to be coming, or the change is red. And he starts walking across. And all of a sudden comes this red sports car speeding around the corner and goes straight through a red light, or maybe there's no red light, and he slams straight into that guy and he dies right then and there. Whose fault is it? Well, partly mine. A big course mine. I didn't obey God. And that is one of the major reasons why there is so much suffering today. But see right here, this is what God said to Ezekiel, and God changes not. So it's not just to Ezekiel. When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speaketh to warn the wicked from their wicked ways to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from the wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. See, a lot of Christians today, the truth is we are so caught up in ourselves. We call ourselves Christians, but we can't even hear the voice of God. What's more likely to have actually happened in that situation is we walk out of that supermarket and God, through the Holy Spirit, is yelling at us, hey, go talk to that man. But because we're so focused on the things we want, we can't even hear the voice of God. And we just keep on walking, and that man dies. When we should have been able to hear God and make a difference in that man's life. Not save only his life, but maybe even his soul. But Christians today, we're full of this world. And it's easy to be full of this world. There's so much entertainment, so much stuff that calls to us. And that is one of the main reasons. Christians were called to change the world, to make it a better place, But a lot of times we sit on our bums thinking that God is quote unquote sovereign, when many times God will not act without a human either praying, be getting on our knees and praying, interceding, or going out physically doing it. Very rarely throughout history do we see God doing sovereign acts. Even in the case of Paul or Saul, I guarantee the Christians were praying for him. And we look at Stephen, and Stephen said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." He submitted just like Jesus said. And, well, that's like Jesus said that, but Stephen also did the same thing. He said, "Forgive them." And a lot of the times, things happen. The world is in its state right now, we've let it get there. Christians have let it get there. And then there's that. There's Galatians 6, 7 through 8. "Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he reap. For he that soweth to the flesh, so of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit, so of the Spirit reap life everlasting." A lot of times, the things that happen to us, the horrible things that happen to us, are of our own making. They have nothing to do with God at all. What you sow, you will reap. It's the basic laws of physics. There's an equal reaction for every action. And then something horrible happens, and we want to blame God. No, we were tempted by the devil. We gave into our flesh. Heck, sometimes we even just do what we want without even the devil tempting us. And that's the crazy thing there. And it causes destruction. And that is the 3 reasons why bad things happen. And I just wanted you all to know that. It's something you have to understand, because if you blame God or say He's all sovereign, then that gives you a reason to be angry at God. There's no ever reason to be angry at God. It's man's fault. You were tempted, or someone else was tempted and they gave into their flesh. That drunk driver that killed your mother, killed your sister, that man who raped you or did horrible things to you, he gave into his flesh. He did what he wanted to do, or she wanted to do. That's what happened, not God. God is love, and He proved that by giving Jesus. And that's something you all need to know. And that's why I made this. Thank you.